Hey guys, Constance here from Cosmopolitan Cornbread. So I have got dinner going over there on the stove. Dookie.
Well, stop rolling your ball in here.
So I have dinner going over here on the stove. I'm just cooking up some burgers. I had some burger patties from my last Butcher Box shipment, so I'm cooking those up in a cast iron skillet. I've got some sweet potato fries baking in the oven, and then I have some tossed salad in the refrigerator, and that will be supper tonight. I'm enjoying my afternoon tea. And I spent most of the day out there on the tractor. I was mowing the pasture. Be quiet. I'm trying to film here. Do you want to go outside? So as I was saying, I spent most of the day, or a very good portion of the day, out there on the tractor today. I was mowing the pasture. Yesterday, Mr. Smith mowed the front garden area, and I have mowed out along our driveway, the ditch, all that good stuff. And tomorrow, I will get out here and mow the dog yard, the backyard here we have set aside for the dogs. And then I also need to mow around the chicken coops because it never ends. Just when you get it all done, it's time to start all over again. But I really don't mind, especially when it comes to mowing. I mean, I love being outside. I love working outside in the sunshine. And you know, I have some Bluetooth earbuds, and I'll pop those in my ears and I will just be out there listening to podcasts or worship music or whatever it is I feel like listening to that day, and I just enjoy myself. I enjoy my time out there. And I love making loops around the pasture for hours at a time. I find it extremely peaceful. I don't ever dread getting out there to mow or anything like that because I take great pleasure in it. It is one of my favorite chores. So if you can see over my shoulder here, there is a lamp. And a while back I got that little antique hobnail milk glass lamp at an antique store, and it was a find I was very excited about because it was the exact style of milk glass lamp that I had been looking for. And originally I wanted to put it on my nightstand, but then I decided I really liked it being out here by my coffee maker. And I have just a small nightlight bulb in there, so I can come out here in the morning, long before the sun comes up. I can get that first cup of coffee with gentle light. I'm not shocking my system. And so I felt like it was the perfect little light to be there on the coffee bar. Well, my dear friend Amanda, she's the one who gave me the rocks that I used to build the blueberry bed out front. We were there a few days ago, actually the day we were getting the second load of rocks, and we just kind of hung out and chatted for a little bit, and she's like, I have something for you. And she went upstairs and she came down with this box. And lo and behold, it is a larger version of my milk glass lamp. It is again milk glass, it's hobnail design, and I love it. It was something that I think she said it belonged to her grandmother. So that is a cherished gift to have received. Now I am going to put new wiring in it just because it has the very old tiny plug, and that's not up to code by today's standard, and so I will rewire it with up to code wiring, just like I did that one right there. But I was pretty honored to receive that. So for now it is sitting right here on my table, and I don't know, that may end up actually being where I keep it. I haven't quite decided yet, but I love it. Y'all know how much I love my milk glass vases and my fruit bowl, and I have a few pieces of it, and I don't know, there's just something about milk glass I've always liked. So the burgers here, I cook them pretty simply. I just seasoned them with some of my seasoning salt, all-purpose seasoning. I have a recipe for that on my blog. I'll link that down below. I just season them with a little bit of that, sprinkle that on top. And then I heat up a little bit of oil. I use ghee, which is clarified butter. Put that in the pan, nice hot cast iron skillet, and that's pretty much it. Just cook it till it's browned on both sides and cooked through, and that's cooking a burger in a cast iron skillet, just like you would a sausage patty, quite frankly. Minus the seasoning, of course, because sausage is already seasoned. Good morning. So I am out here working in the garden and drinking some coffee. At the moment I am going through and I am pruning and tying up my tomato plants, connecting them to the trellis to help them grow up, trimming off any excess foliage, because when you have tomato plants, you need to have airflow. That's one of the reasons I'm working them up the trellis. I prune them so you don't want them to be too bushy, because bushy tomato plants will hold a lot of moisture, which makes them more prone to blight. So I'm trimming off any branches that are low to the ground. I don't necessarily have to trim off the whole branch, but I'll trim off anything that's like within 6 to 8 inches from the ground or from the soil. If there are areas of the plant that are really thick, like you can barely get your hands in there, I trim off some of those branches because it's important to have airflow. As long as you don't take a ton of your plant at once, that tomato plant is going to be just fine. Besides the excess foliage, one of the things I'm doing is I look for suckers, and I'll show you what a sucker is.
So right here you can see where you have the main stem of the tomato plant coming up, and then you have a branch going off right there, and right in the middle of it, kind of like the armpit of the tomato plant, is this additional piece, and that is what's called a sucker. Right down here you can see another one. So right here's an example of some of the things that I will prune off of the tomato plant. This is some frost damage, and so because there's plenty of other healthy leaves on here, these pieces that are damaged, I'm going to go ahead and snip those off, because I don't want damaged leaves on my plant. Again, it makes it more prone to illness and blight.
Now there's a number of reasons to trim the suckers off of your tomato plants. A tomato plant isn't a bush, even though they can be very bushy. They are actually a vine, and they want to go across the ground and lay over, making them prone to illness. So that is why you have to use a tomato cage or stakes or a trellis, as I use here. And tomatoes just want to keep on spreading out, and those little suckers are actually a brand new tomato plant. Now, there's a lot of information out there, and I used to believe this, that when you have a sucker, that those suckers will essentially suck nutrients and energy away from the rest of the plant and cause you to not have as much fruit, as many tomatoes. And honestly, I believed that because I was taught that suckers don't bear fruit. However, that information is not accurate, because, let me show you this. This right here, believe it or not, is a sucker. It's a really big one that I didn't catch. It's even got its own little suckers, you can see right in there. But if you look up here at the top, right in there, I don't know if you can see that, there's buds. This sucker is growing blossoms. So yes, indeed, suckers can grow fruit. I think the major issue though is the bushiness, the excess foliage. That is where suckers really cause the problem, I believe. But here's the great thing. Because a sucker is essentially an entire new plant, and because tomato plants are a vine, all of these little hairs that you see on the stems of a tomato plant, those will begin to grow roots. So I can take this sucker, or this little sucker, or these kind of medium-sized suckers, and I can stick these in water, and they will grow roots, and they will give me free tomato plants. So if you want to do like a second round of tomatoes later in the summer, this is a great way to take your favorite varieties and get more plants. It's also good to know, like if you've got some storms coming, if you've got bad weather and you're worried about the safety of your garden, gather some suckers up, have some backup plants, and yeah, so you can compost these if you want, or you could grow some more plants. Alright you guys, so I came in the house to fill up my cup of coffee with a fresh cup. Just got done working out in the no-till garden, and I'm getting ready to go out front to the raised bed garden. But before I do that, and before I finish up this video, I just wanted to show you something. So currently my kitchen windowsill looks a little bit like a jungle. I have multiple glass containers filled with water, and I have lots and lots of things rooting here in the window. But I just wanted to show you these. So when I told you that suckers are whole tomato plants just starting to grow, and that you can very easily multiply how many tomato plants you have with those suckers and get free tomato plants, let's see if you can see in there. Check out all those roots. Now, these 2 suckers that are in this jar have only been in here for just a few days. There's no rooting hormone. There's nothing that was added to this. It is just water. And this one is equally full of roots. They grow very, very well. I just change that water out about every other day or so. I rinse out the container that they're in, put in fresh water, because if you don't add fresh water to it, what happens is that water gets kind of sludgy and kind of gross, and the roots will actually sort of almost suffocate in there. And so you just want to put fresh water in about every other day, and make sure that your plants don't dry out. Put it in a sunny location. I have a south facing window here in my kitchen, and I've got plants growing like crazy. So that is it. That's all I had to share with you today. I'm going to grab my cup of coffee and head out into the front garden and keep on working. So thanks for joining me here at the homestead. Again, my name is Constance from Cosmopolitan Cornbread, and I'll talk to y'all next time.